up, Sauce Gang, and welcome back to the channel. Hot Sauce Beats here with a banger reaction for you, and we are jumping back into TierZoo, and this one is the one that you guys have requested the absolute most, and I am talking about the bird tier list. That is right, those things with the wings, with the talons and the razor sharp claws that can poke and scratch your eyes out. Those things, birds. They also carry the bird flu, so they're probably pretty deadly, but I am beyond hype for this. We are getting our Learn on a Day chat, but before we do, make sure you show TierZoo some love by subscribing to their channel, and if you enjoy my reactions, smash that subscribe button because it greatly helps. But enough talking, let's get to reacting and roll that bomb-ass intro.
Hot Sauce Beats is finally here. Hot Sauce Beats is finally here. Eat, sleep, make beats. Eat, sleep, make beats.
Hot Sauce Beats. Woo, woo. Oh, let's learn about some birds. Like, that's terrifying. Did that just like semi-jump scare me?
Birds are one of the most popular playable classes in the game, with a huge number of successful builds and tons of cool strategies. However, some of these strategies have clearly been more successful than others. So today we'll be going over the bird tier list to see which bird ranks highest. But before we get into looking at specific bird builds, let's do an overview of the basic attributes and special abilities.
It's gotta be some, like a bald eagle, but they're almost extinct, so just, I don't know. It's gotta be some kind of hawk or something, right?
Has access to, as well as a quick rundown of the history of the bird faction.
Get it, Pigeon! Get off my food!
Birds are one of the newer factions in the game, joining the game's roster during the latter part of the Mesozoic expansion.
Aren't technically raptors birds, right? I mean, would they be the most deadly?
Began as an offshoot of the dinosaur faction that was specifically adapted to arboreal gameplay. But when the devs dropped the Cenozoic balance patch, these small avians were the only dinosaurs not to be hit by the banhammer. Fast forward to today's meta, and birds are one of the most successful factions in the game, owing this success to a handful of
takes on a bear. Do I need to be scared of birds?
The obvious flying attribute. First of which is their beak. Now, beaks were not an entirely new ability for the reptile player base, but birds went far deeper into the beaks.
Yeah, bro, I think I've been underestimating birds my whole life. I think I have a newfound fear of birds now.
Skill tree than most dinosaurs ever had, with many bird players opting for extremely specialized beaks to give them an edge in specific scenarios.
I mean, how do you even compete with that, bro? You can't even get close to it.
Offers plenty of advantages.
Dude, they're just
While
bullies, bro.
Does mean that they deal reduced damage with their bite attack. Birds can be far more accurate with their pecking attacks, enabling them to hit weak points or secure grabs on smaller targets, such as the thin hurt box of a snake.
I feel
Beaks
bad.
Also offer moderate protection, potentially reducing headshot damage and nullifying imprecise
dude, what I'm saying, you can't even get close, bro. It's just like, stay away.
Beaks also offer some of the best stab type damage in the game, which, when used accurately,
you
can
gotta
deal
imagine
massive damage on crit.
Some of the
Beaks
best
are
stabbing.
also excellent tools for dealing with parasites. In fact, they're so good that oftentimes other less dexterous players will party up with bird support players.
I apologize.
In order to have a better matchup against
I take
parasites.
back all the mean things I said until in
Feathers are
about
also
another
a
minute
unique
or
and
two.
Powerful trait exclusive to birds that provides excellent cold protection without causing the user to become too over-encumbered to fly. Feathers also offer pretty substantial defense against crush-type attacks.
Really?
Which is especially important
that
to
makes
birds
sense.
because of their hollow bones trait.
Dude, that's an epic
Hollow
battle.
bones are another ability meant to synergize with the flying playstyle.
Dude, is that all poo? Is that poo inside of it? Looks like a bunch of pellets, dude. Is that a bunch of poo?
Now, a common misconception is that bird bones are hollow in order to reduce equipment load, but actually they're hollow in order to let bird players fill them with air, which grants them a massive boost to their maximum stamina. Without this, it'd be extremely tough for a bird to fly for any significant period of time. The trade-off, of course, is that a broken bone not only deals serious damage, but also potentially reduces the player's maximum stamina by a huge margin. So a bird player will need all of the blunt damage defense it can get. And speaking of blunt damage, the bird's lower bone density means the bird's own blunt force strikes, like wing attacks, also deal reduced damage. The top tier bird builds are the ones that can best capitalize on the strengths of their class while mitigating potential weaknesses. That about covers the basics, so let's get into the tier list.
Let's get in, baby.
At the bottom of the tier list, we have two flightless bird builds, both with essentially the same glaring weakness, These are the kiwi and kakapo. Kiwis are hilariously part of the same faction as ostriches, emus, and cassowaries.
I mean, they're kind of cutie patooties. Cutie patooties!
For some reason, they opted to give up the flight ability, but didn't use the extra available skill points to spec into gigantism like the rest of their squad did. The result is a build that can literally only exist on island servers where there's no active mammal player base, aka
where there's no enemies.
The kakapo is a flightless version of the parrot, and although parrots are undoubtedly excellent bird builds, the flightless weakness is too glaring to
I've never seen this
ignore.
bird.
Due to invasive species like rats and cats establishing a presence on island servers, both of these flightless bird builds are seeing major declines in their player base,
It's just
and I
sitting
would
there
not
like,
be surprised if
why are
they
you
all
eating
end
my
up
food?
switching mains. Flight is just too strong an ability to pass up.
Why
which
are
brings
you
me to the
eating
next
my
build on my
food?
tier list. So I see what these builds were going.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of have a fear of these. They just, I don't know, birds with like big necks, man. I just don't trust it. I feel like it could just spin around and poke me in my face, bro. And you know, it's gotta, you just, I don't trust it.
For. Being giant could potentially make
super
up for the
fast,
lack
though?
of flight, but in practice this didn't quite pan out. While these are technically the strongest birds in terms of base power and defensive stats, for their weight class they are woefully underpowered.
Aren't they super
They're
fast
one of
though?
the few
Like
mega
40
frog
miles?
builds that can be taken down by cheetahs, when they should be able to completely annihilate cheetahs with their powerful claws. Their huge weak point presents a lot of opportunity for counterattack too, so if they ever get too bold, they're setting themselves up for a tough loss. Lastly, the fact that they are forced to nest on the ground forces them into an even more vulnerable position than most birds.
I didn't think about that.
as
That's
rat-eyed
true.
eggs are extremely
You're in danger when you got your booty on the ground. If you got your booty up in the tree, you're a lot better off.
valuable as loot. Objective defense is not an easy task even for high-tier builds, so for ostriches, emus, and cassowaries, this is a huge hurdle. Next on the tier list we have the Hummingbird. This build
Can't even
specs
see its
purely into
wings,
mobility
dude.
and just about nothing else, and as a result,
Yeah, you
is the
can't
only
even
bird
see its
build
wings.
with full 360-degree movement, similar to a dragonfly. This, combined with its extremely small size, enables the Hummingbird to very quickly change direction
How do
mid-flight,
they even fight, dude? Do
allowing
they
it
just
to easily
flap
dodge
their
attacks
wings
and
at
fly
each
around
other?
obstacles. More importantly, it allows the Hummingbird to access nectar, which is an extremely valuable source of energy that's normally inaccessible to birds, since birds are usually too
see the
heavy
bees?
to land on flowers and not agile enough
Did
to
you
access
see the
nectar
bee, bro?
mid-flight.
It just
This all
knocked
sounds
that bee
great, but the
away.
Hummingbird also has two very serious weaknesses. The first is pretty obvious. They have no combat prowess at all, and any attack they fail to dodge will send them right back to the character select screen. But in addition to that, the
praying
insane
mantis
energy
just took
cost
it out?
of their flight ability, combined with their total lack of fat storage, means hummingbirds will run out of stamina very quickly if they can't constantly find food.
Okay, yeah, they're screwed, bro. It can't even get the butterfly out the way, dude. The butterfly's like, bruh, stop. Get away from me.
To me, this
Be
is a
gone.
high-risk, high-reward strategy where the risk far outweighs the reward, so I have to place them in F tier.
Yeah, the butterfly was winning.
At the bottom of D
Pigeons
tier,
are
we
so
have the
annoying.
pigeon.
They're poop.
The pigeon-
I mean, a poop's got to be a weapon, right? You just pew, 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 shooting poop at you.
Build doesn't really have any critical flaws, but they're held back by mediocre stats.
Mike Tyson
in
loves
particular,
them.
the pigeon is sorely lacking in any combat-focused stat, like power or defense. They do best in cities where their excellent navigation ability grants them an extra bit of safety by nesting among high-rises in loot-rich locations. But even in cities, pigeon players tend to be the main source of XP for higher-tier predators. Plus, if you're just looking to play a bird build that's good at looting cities, there are better options available anyway. The Peacock build is another
pretty.
generally understated build, with high HP
they're
but
just
little
pretty.
else to rely on. It does, however, have one of the highest intimidation proficiency bonuses in the game, gaining a massive buff to all intimidation checks when its Eye Spot Feather ability is activated. As impressive as this ability is, the Peacock's actual attacks do very little damage, so any player able to resist being frightened will have a pretty easy win. The Peacock's diamatic display also blocks vision behind
Yeah, you
itself,
screwed, bro.
making a stealth approach by a
You
third-party
screwed, bruh.
attacker extremely easy. And while they
You
can escape
screwed.
by flying, the feathers of a peacock are so heavy that getting airborne takes a bit longer than most birds,
yeah,
which can be the difference between
Did he
dodging
get away?
or
Did he
dying
get away?
when under attack.
Oh my god, is he getting away? Oh, what a
The
save!
flamingo is a bit
Bruh, come on! It was just getting good. I want to see what happened.
Bit of an AFK class. Very minimal skill is actually required to pilot this build. They opted to spec into the filter feeding ability, meaning all they really need to do to gain experience and progress their character.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, they gain a lot of their color from the food that they eat. Like they're not like these ones, they're not naturally pink, but their food makes, and I don't know if that's true. I think I remember hearing that somewhere.
Is pick a random spot in the lake bed and start digging around with their beak, scoring free wins against things like snails and shrimp. However, when faced with a challenge from any player anywhere near its size, this build totally falls apart.
Dude, is that all food in its neck?
They
Is that just food? Like bro, you already got lunch. Leave me alone.
However, this doesn't always work. Their pathetic defensive stats mean they go down in 1 or 2 hits, and their slow flight startup means that oftentimes players will have time to rush them down even when they're in the water.
Dude, he just got it like,
this
what
is
up?
An easy build to rack up a bunch of experience with, but also a very easy build to defeat if you know their weaknesses.
I kind of feel bad for it, dude. Chicken!
The humble chicken. Often
now, chickens, dude, they got some sharp claws, dude. You gotta watch out for chickens.
Compared to the T-Rex to exemplify how far the dinosaur faction has fallen. While I disagree with the implication, I don't disagree that chickens are indeed a low-tier build.
And they're delicious.
While they aren't anywhere near as totally helpless as the kiwi or kakapo, they're still a barely average statted bird that lacks the ability to fly for any extended distance. They can certainly hold their own against most similarly sized opponents, but with poor escape options and no unique abilities, this build faces an uphill battle against most opponents.
Oh yeah, that fox got it, dude.
I shouldn't say no unique abilities.
Dude, that's just messed up, dude. Pretty messed up.
But to be honest, their fast respawn rate kinda backfired on them due to humans using the factory farming strategy. Next in C tier we have the Vulture.
Stupid vultures!
The tankiest variant of the Raptor subclass. A good tank build needs to be able to accomplish 2 things.
It doesn't do anything, it just feeds on dead stuff.
Do quite well. A few of them can easily lock down a carcass, one of the most contested points of interest you'll ever see on the map. They can do this because of their large size and acidic projectile attack.
They are huge!
The other thing a tank must be good at is shrugging off hits, and this is where vultures fall short.
Dude, I didn't realize vultures were so big. Apparently I don't... Sorry, apparently I don't know much about vultures. Those things are massive, chat.
Their thick feathers easily shield them completely from smaller attacks, but because of their hollow bones, blunt force can easily crush their defenses and take them down in only a hit or 2. So while they can defend a carcass from hordes of smaller scavengers, they don't have much counterplay towards
the whole
bigger,
head was
more aggressive
inside
brawlers.
of it.
The command post is now under hostile control.
The Woodpecker
How much wood would Woodchuck chuck if a Woodchuck would?
Optimizing and perfecting the peck attack, both in power and efficiency, with one goal in mind: to be able to hit insect players through.
Do you think woodpeckers ever get concussions? I've always wondered that. Like, they're constantly bashing their head and stuff. They gotta get headaches, right? Migraines, concussions, something.
Cover. Burrowing is one of the safest, most effective ways insect players can avoid combat. But the woodpecker absolutely demolishes this strategy. One of the main advantages of this strategy is that having a powerful beak that's highly effective at drilling through that pecking at
I don't know why that just happened.
Location away, alerting more powerful predators to its presence, while it's in the middle of pecking and is distracted. One particular woodpecker build, the Toucan, opted to spec into
Toucan
more
Sam?
bulk and
I love your
even more
Fruit Loops,
powerful
bro!
beak, which, while less useful for attacking insects through the wood, is still extremely powerful for PvP. All in all, interesting strategy. By no means flawless, but definitely has some solid strengths.
Dude, it doesn't even look real, man. Just like half of its body is its beak.
So I know I've been pretty hard on flightless birds up until now. So you might be surprised to see me rate penguins as upper mid-tier
man?
rather than low tier. The difference
They're the OG slap fighters, dude. Bam!
is penguins actually swapped out their wings for an arguably equally viable alternative,
Swimming.
flippers, which essentially allow them to fly through the water with incredible agility. This gives them a downright broken matchup against fish. However, this strategy is pretty much only viable on servers where there are no land-based predators that penguins would still need to worry about. So if for whatever reason a few polar bears ever spawn in the Antarctic server, it's kind of game over for that entire build.
Oh, run penguins.
The predators they have to contend with in the water are even more dangerous, and while their agility does help them dodge attacks, ultimately it's still a totally one-sided matchup. Their strategy is pretty cool and
Jeez, did you
actually
see
fairly
it shoot
dominant
up?
due to limited competition. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the entire Penguin player base collapse if the devs ever add new DLC in the form of an Antarctic land predator,
I love
or
just
even
the
if they
game
just
talk,
buff the
dude.
land mobility of the leopard seal. Still, top of C tier is a respectable position for a flightless bird.
All right, let's. We're not.
At the bottom of B tier, we have
Okay,
the
we're on B
Goose.
tier now.
I've got an entire video dedicated to the Goose build, but in short, the Goose has solid base stats, including above average hit points. However, its abysmal power stat leads it to rely heavily on intimidation to secure territory. This can be unbelievably
annoying,
effective
dude.
at times, and it's not uncommon to see top tier predators flee an encounter that they easily could have won. Still, the obvious flaw in this strategy is
They got like little dog syndrome, you know, the little, just the little chippers, dude. Oh, God, I can't stand geese.
that if the
He's about to
Goose's
get
opponent
booted to the
resists
face.
being frightened, the Goose will be wide open
Oh,
to a punishing
sevens.
counterattack. In
Oh,
addition, the
yeah,
Goose's weak
dude.
spot is easily exploitable by
thing's done.
intelligent players, so careless aggression
Did a hawk
tends to
just
be the
take it
Goose's
out?
biggest strength and biggest weakness at the same time.
Yeah,
All in
see?
all, still a surprisingly effective strategy.
Oh,
The
what did they
Heron
do?
build put a huge amount of evolution points into maxing out the puncture damage it can deal with its beak.
Oh,
And
really?
it did so to great success. Herons have one of the highest damage pecks of any bird, and frequently one-hit their targets.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you their beak would literally just put a hole inside of you, dude. Dude, that thing looks intense. It's like a tip of a spear.
Even those with scale armor, like large fish and juvenile crocodiles. The effectiveness of their piercing attack is amplified by their long neck, which gives their attacks a deceptively long range, giving their strikes an almost cobra-like flash to them. They have downright
Dude.
oppressive matchups against fish, amphibians, and all other small aquatic builds. One
Sevens for
vulnerability
that
they
frog,
do have
chat.
is that their flight ability has a lot of startup, making it a bit less reliable as an escape option if they do happen to get ambushed. Still, it's certainly not
See? You
terrible.
see them bald
Another
eagles?
weakness is that
You
their
see them
long
bald
neck
eagles
presents a
taking
bit
it
of a weak
out?
point, making lunging forward with repeated pecking attacks a bit risky if you get too predictable about it. Good players will be able to punish careless lunges quite hard.
Oh, bro, that was a trap and it got it. I'm kind of shocked the Falcons down this low, dude.
In high B
I
tier,
think
we have the
don't-
Falcon, a raptor build that opts to defeat its opponents using speed and superior maneuvering rather than actual power. Falcons actually have a below average power stat for a raptor, and don't deal particularly high damage in close combat. Their talons are pretty small compared to hawks, owls, and eagles,
That's true.
and so instead of slashing and stabbing with their claws, Falcons actually punch with their feet to disorient or concuss their target, and then finish the fight with their more powerful beak. In the right situation, this can deal
Bro.
absolutely massive damage, enough to one-shot a mid-sized target at full HP.
Yeesh, dude.
The drawback of this strategy is that Falcons can only dish out high damage when they have the time to build up speed first. This makes
Oh
the
wow,
Falcon
I didn't even know that's how they did it. Dude, they are fast.
a pretty poor defender for objective game modes, and means the Falcon can struggle to win fights if its first attack doesn't connect, as follow-up attacks
Yeah,
will likely
yeah.
not have the same force built up
They
as
put
the
all their
first.
eggs in one basket, and
Still,
then
the
and then
burst
they're just
damage
screwed.
potential of this build cannot be ignored, so it earns its spot in high B tier. This
What?
might seem like an odd inclusion to cap off B tier, but Songbirds are a highly efficient build for their size, and do deserve recognition on this tier list.
Higher than
This
a
is
falcon?
a huge group, including finches, starlings, sparrows, wrens, and birds of paradise. And while some are flashier
Dude, don't you know smoking's bad for your health? You should probably not be a smoker.
than others, they all have relatively similar stats, with extremely high agility being their core stat. Unlike many of the builds lower on the tier list that have difficulty getting themselves airborne quickly, Songbirds have extremely low startup on their flight move, allowing them to reposition themselves easily and quickly. This makes their approach very difficult to punish, making
Trying to get the
Songbirds
praying
excellent
mantis.
at chipping away at defensive players, and makes them great at stealing loot from slower builds.
Yoink.
Their safety
Yoink.
in numbers strategy can actually be somewhat intimidating
it's
and
kinda
disorienting
terrifying.
too, making it rather difficult to attack a party of songbirds mid-flight.
Bro.
While they certainly aren't invincible, having one of the lower HP stats
Yup,
among birds,
yup,
they're an
oh,
often
good hit.
overlooked but undoubtedly successful bird.
Hadouken! What you looking at,
At the
Swan?
bottom of A tier, we have the Swan. The Swan is
A
essentially
tier.
a goose that has the power stat to actually back up its attempts to intimidate.
Oh,
the
wow.
wing attacks that most bird players use do very little damage and aren't very useful aside from pushing other players around. The Swan's wing attack can break bones and concuss foes, Because of this, swans are one of the best builds at controlling important points of interest, as their height.
Dude, I didn't know. And maybe when I was thinking maybe when I was saying goose or geese were annoying, maybe I'm thinking of swans.
Hyper-aggressive playstyle can result in huge territory gains. Of course,
Yeah, I
they do
think
have
I'm
the
thinking
same
about
weaknesses
swans.
as geese, so targeting the swan's neck with an attack can defuse the threat. But this is a bit riskier of a play against a swan than against a goose. All around, sturdy defender, definitely A tier.
Ow! And they can
Next
see
in
in
A
the
tier we
dark.
have the owl, the avian faction's premier
dude,
stealth
owls are so
assassin
cool.
build. It owes this reputation to its special ability, which allows it to fly completely silently. This makes the owl's strikes very difficult to defend against.
Dude, that mouse
as
has
players
no
just about
clue.
never see them coming.
No clue.
While not as stacked in the power department as their daytime counterparts, owls do have quite solid base stats. While they aren't likely to one-shot high HP targets, they do have enough force behind their attacks to be able to defend themselves and their territory, even from powerful enemies. In addition to granting the owl the silent flight perk, the owl's thick, bushy feathers offer additional defense against attacks, enabling it to stand its.
Dude, have you guys ever seen look, if you guys haven't, look up, like, I don't know, owl legs. If you've never seen an owl with its like feathers up, seen its legs, it is the funniest thing ever, dude.
its ground in important objective defense scenarios.
Like, it literally has
Interestingly,
chicken legs.
the silent flight perk
Little
did
tiny
come at the
chicken
cost
legs.
of the
Like, dude, its legs probably come up to like right here. And it's just these little skinny legs that you would never know.
waterproof ability that most bird feathers have, meaning that falling into the water or getting caught in a rainstorm can actually disable the owl's flight ability.
Oh, wow.
A pretty unique weakness, and certainly something that can be played around, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, baby.
In the middle of A tier, we have the eagles and hawks. Hawks and eagles follow the same basic strategy, both having tailored their
Kill
builds
it.
to focus on dealing maximum damage with their talons. Hawks are the smaller variants of this group, and because of this they are far more agile. While not as powerful as eagles, their agility enables them to weave through cover better than most
That's
birds
like
of
the
prey.
Matrix right
This
there.
makes them well suited for rushing down players both in open terrain and in dense, difficult to navigate terrain like forests. Eagles, in contrast, are much more powerful, but their larger size and wider wingspan prevents them from entering dense forests. Still, in open prairies and mountains, eagles can be incredibly effective,
Oh my
dealing
God.
absolutely brutal damage with their enormous dagger-like talons, enough to take down players in higher weight classes without even requiring
that
team
a deer?
strategies. These are without a doubt some of the strongest bird builds in the game for PvP,
Bro, it just took down a
and
deer.
have been for quite some time.
I gotta know what's up in God
At the top
tier.
of A tier, we have the grappler tank hybrid, the Pelican. The Pelican's main strength is its throat pouch. Grappling enemy players can be a highly effective takedown strategy, but birds struggle with this since they can't use their wings to grab, and since their beaks aren't always the most reliable grappling weapons, sometimes leading to targets escaping. The Pelican's grapple is, in contrast, almost totally inescapable, and works on targets much larger than you might think.
Dude, but that'd be so weird. Like, it'd be fighting inside of your mouth, man.
While this attack style is most effective against fish, it's quite powerful against other bird, rodent, and amphibian players.
Get out of there, turtle!
Although it does have its limitations.
Turtle.
This, combined with the Pelican's overall bulk, makes it one of the most difficult birds to take down in single combat, and enables it to stand its ground against even top tiers like canines. So, those of you who follow the channel for a while can probably guess what the top tier birds are going to be.
I don't.
If you can't, that's probably a good indication that you should be subscribed.
We're subbed, baby.
Those of you wishing the
Secretary
devs
bird.
could unban the Velociraptor build, look no further than the Secretary bird, as it has basically all the same awesome abilities and more. Hunting on foot and in pairs, they prove time and time again that striking from the sky is overrated. They can easily defeat other high tier builds such as the Cobra and Mongoose with their high damage kicks. Their stomp
Wow.
move has extremely high accuracy, allowing Secretary bird players to score game-ending headshots with ease. And they do all this
Bro, those legs.
without completely sacrificing their flight ability. If they ever find themselves outmatched, which only ever happens against builds in higher weight classes,
Yeah, he's like,
they
"I'm
can
outie."
still retreat to the sky or treetops.
I'm
The
outie.
fact that this strategy works in Africa, one of the most unforgiving servers of all time, is proof enough to me that this is the optimal raptor. These last two builds are about equally matched, both opting for the
Okay,
same
okay,
specialization.
what we got, bro?
Intelligence.
Parrot.
Parrots are an extremely unique build with several powerful abilities. not the least of which is their sonic shriek, which can drive away just about any player who invaded their territory, especially when employed by a coordinated team. In addition, due to their prehensile beak, parrots have the highest dexterity of any bird, putting them among the best users of the tool use ability. And with an extremely high lifespan, if there was any build that could replace humans if humans ever get their intelligence nerfed, I'd bet on the parrot.
Wow, okay.
I made an entire video on parrots if you're interested, but when it comes to
I am
intelligence,
interested.
there's one avian build that arguably outclasses them.
Corvid. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. That a crow?
Corvids, such as magpies, crows, and ravens, also opt for a high intelligence playstyle.
I got
but
it.
with a far more expansive
Dude, a crow is all the way up there? What?
social aspect to it. While plenty of bird builds use cooperative team strats, the best corvids operate using a network effect, where knowledge is shared with a huge amount of players over vast distances. This knowledge can include useful points of interest, or even blacklists of dangerous areas or players to avoid. But even individually, corvids have a lot going for them. With significantly higher stealth than parrots, corvids are much better at staying out of conflict. Their pointy beaks, while not as useful for tool use, are a much better combat tool for dealing quick damage. It's also more useful for pressuring and poking opponents, or for provoking larger players into battle, so they can reap the benefits of the aftermath.
They're
Corvids
boys!
are one of the best builds at making use of human-made items, and quickly figure out ways of abusing the system to score quick loot. All in all, corvids are basically what you'd get if you gave monkeys wings. Easily a top-tier build. So there you have it, the complete bird tier list.
If I do say so myself.
Or rather, as complete as I thought possible.
Wow, bro, I would not have. Wow. Okay. And I would have thought eagles and hawks would be all the way up, like the tippy tops.
If I didn't do a segment on your favorite bird, please let me know in the comments. Despite being the longest video I've ever made, there were still a few birds that I cut from the video for time's sake, or because I felt I couldn't discuss the bird properly without getting into territory that was potentially too violent for YouTube. If you're interested in watching the full director's cut version of this video, it's available to watch on Nebula, a subscription streaming service built by and for creators. Nebula comes bundled for free with CuriosityStream, another awesome streaming service and longtime.
All right, chat, let me bring you in. Bruh, I don't think I've ever learned so much about birds in my life. Apparently, I need to be afraid of crows, man. They sound like they're really smart and they work with the rest of their gang. And they are probably gonna take over the world. And parrots, dude. I think that was the one that surprised me the most. I didn't realize parrots were so OP. And I guess it's just because they can, they're really smart. They can grab stuff with their beak. They know how to use it. They can also, they're really good at using their talons as actual hands. And they're smart. And they can talk. Is that a parakeet? Anyways, I don't know. I didn't realize they were so up there. I mean, especially over Falcons and Eagles, bro. But yeah, I learned a lot. This was awesome. I definitely see why so many of you guys have requested this. I think the next one I'm probably gonna do is the fish tier list, which I'm pretty excited about. I mean, who doesn't love a good shark story? But this was amazing. Thank you everyone who recommended it. Make sure you show TierZoo some love by subscribing to their channel. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite part of this, like which one surprised you the most. And if you enjoyed this, please help support the channel by smashing that subscribe and like button. It's absolutely free. And it greatly helps out the channel. Enjoy the rest of your night. And remember, it's eat, sleep, and make beats, and as usual, be kind to one another. And that's all I got. Boom, I'm out. Kind of the butt love for the sauce gang. Peace out, sauce gang.